Welcome to your Daily 5 for Monday, October 14th, 2024. I really completely by accident found a film that I have now listed as only the third musical film that I am really willing to watch. So this is number 3 after Rocky Horror Picture Show and Voyage of the Rock Aliens. I now put 1988's Sons of Steel into the extraordinarily limited pantheon of musicals that not only I can tolerate, but this one I actually quite love, just like the other two. And I found this weirdly on the Shudder streaming service. Now, it's also available to watch free on Tubi, which is great because I would tell people, go watch this immediately if you didn't even make the end of this 5. But this is not a horror film, which is Shudder. Shudder is normally what I associate with horror-themed films, if not explicit horror, movies that veer into horror. But Sons of Steel is not a horror film. It is a over-the-top Australian science fiction fantasy musical that is one of the most delightful things I've ever stumbled upon in my entire life. This is 90 minutes of just sheer insanity. The amount of intensity that permeates this film. This is one of the things that I find with Australian films. It's a well-known thing. This is definitely in the Ozploitation genre where there is such an Australianness to this movie. And I don't know how else to put it, but Australian films have this energy that really no other movies have, especially from this time period, basically through the 80s. You would find these movies that have this just kind of psychotic energy to them, where it just feels like there is no room for subtlety. And in some movies, that could destroy the entire thing. But in these films, it always seems to work, and this is no exception. Sons of Steel's story is relatively straightforward. It's about a I don't know what you would call it. I saw somebody describe it as new wave metal. That probably is accurate. A new wave metal singer who is also a peace activist in a future that seems heavily inspired by Orwell's 1984. And when a nuclear submarine is going to come into Sydney Harbor, I believe it's called the Sydney Harbor, he is going to organize a blockade of it with other peace activists. Now, to look at this individual, you would never describe him as a peace activist on sight. He looks like an extraordinarily well-built Alice Cooper, but jacked with Ozzy Osbourne-type vocals. He is actually singing in the film. The star, Rob Hartley, I believe is the actor's name, then went on to actually use the character name Black Alice from the film as his band name and went on and became a musician. And the songs are awesome. His performance is fantastic. And the best thing about the whole movie, again, is just that everybody is ogling the screen, is almost screaming their lines. And it, again, where it could derail another movie, this one, it just works so well because you really, there were plot points I actually completely missed because I was just in awe of this thing the first time through. And honestly, it didn't really matter. The second watch, when I kind of picked up on them and when I was pulling clips and stuff, it was, oh, okay, I didn't realize that. But every character in this movie is memorable. From the smallest ones all up to the main ones are all just very distinct, interesting, weird, over the top, and again, memorable. The whole movie is one that when you get to the end, you almost just want to watch it again because there is no downtime. This thing just moves and moves and moves. And there are multiple songs, full songs throughout the movie that are almost their own music videos. They do relate to the plot, but they also at times just kind of cut out of the movie. And then we get a little music video with Hartley or Black Alice, whatever you want to call the character, doing his little song, and they're just overwrought and dramatic, or at times just frenetic, and the facial expressions he's making and his gesticulations are just great. And like I said, this movie is a joyride. It is an absolute entertaining blast. Even if you don't like musicals, which I typically hate musicals, this movie works. This is, because it is not really a musical in the way that many musicals are, it does feel organic. It feels like this is all so fantasy enveloped that you don't really, there are points where you see Black Alice fantasizing about things. And so if you just imagine that the songs are what are in his mind, and because they're so over the top and at 200% like the rest of the movie, I just can't say enough good things about it. It is an absolute treat to watch this movie. A delightful way to spend 90 minutes of your time. So again, 1988 Sons of Steel. Watch it for free on Tubi, or if you have Shudder, it's on there. You will not regret it. Later.